All right, shifting focus over to the other big stories we are tracking this hour. Just days after President Donald Trump softened his stance, stalled US-India trade talks are now back on track as Assistant US Trade Representative is now in New Delhi for a high-stakes day-long meeting with India's chief negotiator. The talks aim to fast-track a bilateral trade agreement. This renewed dialogue follows months of tensions over steep 50% US tariffs on Indian goods, tariffs linked to India's purchase of Russian crude oil. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's trade advisor Peter Navarro has said that India was coming to the negotiating table. This comes a week after White House trade advisor Navarro said that India must come around at some point on trade negotiations with the United States, or else it will not end well for New Delhi. And parallel developments happening as Brenden Lynch, who is the chief negotiator of the United States, has already arrived in New Delhi. Aman's been tracking all the details for us. Let's quickly go across to Aman, who's joining us live with more inputs. Aman, what will be the bone of contention this time around, even though we know that the US wants to pressurize India, but will India be maintaining its stance, especially when it comes to protecting our domestic concerns?
Well, yes, Akanksha, the talks which are happening today are pretty crucial. This is not an official round of negotiations as India is describing it, but yes, these are the first in-person talks after the 50% tariffs had kicked in on India in the month of August. So Assistant US Trade Representative Mr. Brenden Lynch has already arrived in India. We believe it's going to be a day-long visit today. He will be meeting the Special Secretary in Commerce Ministry, Mr. Rajesh Agrawal. Mr. Lynch and Mr. Agrawal both are the chief negotiators for either side for this bilateral trade deal which has been in the works for the last few months. And Mr. Lynch, interestingly, has been in the Indian subcontinent for the last few days. He was in Sri Lanka a few days back where he met President Dissanayake. Then he went to Bangladesh to meet the interim leader there, Mohammad Yunus. And today Mr. Lynch has arrived from Dhaka into Delhi. And this is not, as I said, not an official round of negotiations for the bilateral trade agreement, but the first in-person meeting since the imposition of the 50% tariffs by the US in August. This particular meeting, I believe, Akanksha, will look at the course of action to be taken ahead on trade-related issues. The government has been saying that virtual talks have still been happening on a weekly basis, but now an in-person meeting is happening. I believe, Akanksha, the hitch which could come up also during the US asking G7 countries a couple of days back to increase sanctions on countries buying Russian oil. And US had said it had got commitments from the G7 countries. So it remains to be seen what is the follow-up to that, because India and China is, of course, the biggest importer of Russian oil, followed by India. But there have also been, Akanksha, conciliatory exchanges lately on social media between Mr. Trump and Mr. Modi. And also Mr. Piyush Goyal's recent statement that both sides are satisfied with the progress of the trade talks, and he said the first tranche of the trade deal is expected in November. So overall, it seems to be positive signals. We'll have to wait and see how these talks go today.
Absolutely. With Donald Trump, in fact, buckling under much pressure as far as NATO is concerned, or even China, we'll have to see how trade talks now shape up this bilateral relationship between Washington and New Delhi. Many thanks to you, Aman, for bringing us those inputs. With that, we're slipping into a quick break. Stay tuned to CNN News 18 as we return with the latest.